Hi friends, Zoe here. Today I'm super excited to talk to you because today is Spiritual Saturday in the series of ZOVEMBER, which is 30 videos in 30 days by your girl Zoe. And today we're going to talk all about how I got a life coach, because I mentioned this in a previous video and I had a lot of questions from you guys, and because it's something that I'm currently going through right now, I thought perhaps I will share my journey with you and maybe it will answer your questions or inspire you to possibly get a life coach yourself or seek more spiritual self-improvement growth. So let's get started. All right, so because this is more of like a story time journey sharing video, I don't have a script, so I'm just gonna go with the flow, see where it takes me. And if you do have any questions, please ask them down below and I'll do my best to try and answer them in a future video or down in the comments there. So I got a life coach, and it's so funny because a few people, when I told them that, they're like, what do you mean you got a life coach? Like, you're all about self-improvement, you read all your books, all the things like that. But in that same sense, it's really nice to be able to have somebody to talk to who can push you and hold you accountable for your goals for yourself, and somebody who is external. So how did I initially get the idea to have a life coach is because I have kind of like a spiritual guide, a psychic-ish spiritual guide that I tend to talk to sometimes. And I'd spoken to her when I was in Toronto. As you guys know, that's kind of a very down point for me when I was back there. And I was looking for some type of answers. So she gave me a reading, and as always, the readings are uplifting, they get me excited for the future. But she told me that I definitely had blocks. So I'd been very reflective about my blocks since then, being in Toronto and kind of getting through a more anxious period in my life and trying to figure out what my next chapter is going to entail. All about Rome. You know, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm excited for it. But I do know that I have blocks, especially in, as I told you guys, the space of romantic partnerships. So I began to do my own work because my guide had told me that what I should do is to do the work myself, like journaling and meditation, but she did believe that seeking external help would be very beneficial and somewhat speed up the process to break through my blocks. And she did recommend hypnotherapy, which is not something that I've ever done before, but I had heard about, so I started to do more research. And so I asked her, my guide, I said, are you able to let me know if you recommend anyone to do hypnotherapy on me to help me release these blocks and move forward? And she said, no. The best way to go about something like that, when you're looking for a teacher, when you're looking for a guide, is to put it out into the universe and let them come to you. So I entertained this for a little while. I tried to do all the work myself because I'm the type of person who doesn't really like to ask for help. It's a block. I like to do everything on my own and get it done the way that I want to do it. So like I said, I was meditating, journaling, trying to dive deeper into that area, reading more books. And in that process, one of my closest friends recommended her life coach to me. She just said, listen, I really want you to talk to him. I think he will help you. One session with him is like 6 therapy sessions, like it's insane. So I, of course, was very excited because, as my previous guide had said, put it out into the universe and they'll come to you. And this just came to me. And one of you had asked, Zoe, why did you choose a male life coach like over a female? I was accepting of either. I didn't really care because I believe that who's ever meant to come into your life will present themselves. As you guys know, I tend to use law of attraction in the way of, like, say, shopping, where I like to attract the things to me because I don't want to feel like I'm going out looking for them or looking for things, because then I become overwhelmed with the decisions to make. I'd rather attract the right one to me. So I put it out into the universe, like, these are my blocks, this is what I want to work on, and grant me with this specific person. Of course, it took a few weeks. It probably took about 2.5 months until this person presented themselves. But I've so far had a few sessions with my life coach, which I have not met this person in person. It's all done over the phone, but it has been extremely life-changing, and I've already noticed so many benefits. And I know another concern a lot of you had was, well, it's expensive, right? I don't think you can put a price on your happiness or your well-being or what's going to take you to the next level, because if you're never willing to kind of step outside of that comfort zone, whether this be spending money or doing things that you might not feel comfortable doing. If you can step out there, it feels a lot easier. And something like life coaching, I've noticed the benefits. I feel the fact that I'm putting money behind it holds me accountable to get to the next level, work through my blocks, and get to Zoe 5.0, as I like to call her, what I'm striving for. So I have definitely broken through a lot of blocks with my life coach. So when we do speak on the phone, it's normally for about an hour, and I talk about what's going on in my life. He really digs deep on that and finds out what is the root of this block and how can we work through it. My first few sessions were quite personal, so I don't really feel like sharing them with you right now, just because it's quite new, emotional. It's definitely work. It's not something that's comfortable, but after it's done and you feel all your emotions and you release your blocks, you do feel a lot better. I think that with positivity and self-improvement, people just think, oh, you just think positive and turn your emotions around, like put on some good music, but sometimes your emotions deserve to be looked straight in the face to find out where they came from, let's say. So like I said, working through my blocks, like from whether it be childhood or working through the series of my lives, the people who played key roles and how they affected me or how they influenced me and perhaps created these blocks through words or something like that. So a more recent session that we had, which I feel comfortable sharing with you because this is something I've expressed on this channel many times, is that I feel so incredibly happy and fulfilled here in Rome that it fears me to leave because I am worried, say, I'm leaving my happiness on the other side. And I know that happiness comes from within, and it's something that I'm really working on because I feel in Rome, happiness comes so much easier to me. Like just looking outside of my window right now and it's so sunny and there's palm trees and beautiful architecture. Surrounding myself with this beautiful place helps me to feel abundant each day when I get up. But say going to a place like Canada, where no longer feels like my number one place of choice, even if I can be surrounded by the most wonderful people who are so nice to be around, for some reason it's not as easy for me to wake up and feel abundant because Rome has been this dream, this goal achieved. I gave up everything to move here, and just to be here is enough. It's really hard to put the love into words, I feel, but I feel so lucky, so incredibly grateful to just see my dream in front of me each day. And I find the city of Rome so inspiring, whether it be the history, the architecture, the sunshine, the palm trees. It's basically my dreamland. So that's why it's easy to wake up happy, and this is why I become hesitant to go back to Canada. And it was interesting because just before my life coach came into my life, or was recommended to me by my friend, I was going through this series of nightmares, and I don't normally get nightmares. I can't even remember the last times that I had nightmares, but I was getting consistent nightmares of the same things, and I would wake up and it would feel so real to me, and it was quite frightening, to be honest, because I wasn't used to facing this, and not to mention I was in Rome and I was facing these nightmares. But these nightmares that were consistent was basically all of my fears presenting themselves in dreams. And in one dream, there'd be, say, 4 different fears, and the dream would just be one after the other, after the other, after the other. It didn't really make any sense how this dream, it wasn't like a story, it was like, here's chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was very much real. And one scenario in this dream is that I'm leaving Italy, and I arrive on the other side in Canada, and someone's at the airport, and they said, where did you just come from? And I said, Italy. And I was like, what's Italy? And so I'm like, oh, Italy, like Roma, the most magical place in the whole world. And they're like, there's no such thing as Italy. Italy doesn't exist. And then I go through all my documents, and Italy never happened. Like, Italy didn't exist. And it sounds, when I speak about it, I know it sounds, it's very unreal. Like, it's not real. But when you're in your dream and you're feeling all the emotions and this sense of panic that I wouldn't ever be able to return back to my heart, essentially, it was frightening. And so I started to get this little bit of anxiety before going to sleep each night here in Rome because I didn't want to have the bad dreams anymore. And then the life coach came in. And so we had this session where he dug deep on why don't you feel like you can bring your happiness with you everywhere you go. And when we spoke about it, it didn't make any sense, because he said, what's your most ideal, like what's the best time in Rome? So I says, you know, just walking through the streets and it's so sunny and so golden, it's warm on my skin, there's palm trees, it's not too hot, but it just glows. It just glows from the inside out, and I glow with it, and that's what Rome is. And so he says, so you're telling me it needs to be a certain time of day, a certain temperature, all this to be ideal. And so when we started to dissect that, I realized, no, it just really comes down to me being happy. I hope that this is making sense. It is my own journey, so it probably can make sense to me inside, but maybe not relaying to you so much. But then we started to practice this exercise where I will take my happiness with me everywhere I go. So we really dug out what the feeling of my pure bliss and my pure happiness is, and then we practiced different mental, I guess, visualization exercises that I can use to take my happiness with me wherever I go. Personally, I picture my happiness as like this glowing little orb that kind of like is on a leash behind me. And so that is how I'm going to take the happiness back with me to Canada in this next little chapter, because I have to leave Italy. And I'm feeling okay. You know, last time when I went to Canada this past summer, I wasn't ready, or I wasn't excited. I didn't want to leave this European summer that had been so amazing. I was excited to see people, of course, my family and my friends, but this is the place where I feel the most at home. I feel like I am myself here, my truest self, truer than I've ever been, and I can just live my life. I live my life to my most authentic. I just feel like I fit. And yeah, so I'm excited to go back this time because I have amazing plans. I'm gonna be turning 26 really shortly here, and I'm excited to ring in 2018 and pursue my dream and goal of coming back to Roma, being fluent in Italian, and living la dolce vita. So I thought I'd open up to you guys about that, and I hope that I answered all of your questions. I took them from the comments that you had, and I know you just wanted to hear about the experience and what it was like. But I truly feel like if you can recognize that you have blocks, then you need to do whatever it takes to work through them. Like I mentioned, I was meditating and I was journaling, but it really helped to have the external help of someone else. So whether it's be a life coach or a therapist or a hypnotherapist or a spiritual guide, whatever resonates with you, if you continue along this path of trying to become your better self or trying to become your own version of like Zoe 5.0, it really feels wonderful, because I've made huge strides and I feel so much better. I look in hindsight and there was blocks, there was limiting beliefs that I had that don't even faze me anymore. And it's a very beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful feeling when you can work through these things and you really feel like you're growing. Like I feel like I'm growing so much. I feel like I've grown more right now than ever, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So anyways, I hope this wasn't too rambly, and I hope that it made sense to you, and I hope that you'll have the most amazing day. And thank you for tuning into ZOVEMBER. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe below if you liked it, and I'll see you again